Hi there, everybody. Welcome to our open book. Good to be with you. Uh, in the maelstrom of news last week, including, by the way, a number of very prominent losses, um, our friend Marty, great theologian, Lutheran minister, great theologian for many years in residence at the University of Chicago, left us. And as I gather, another winter storm is gathering now, and it certainly remains cold in much of the country. I was moved to go back to some of his words from a beautiful book he wrote called Cry of Absence. And it opens with Winter Journey, the absence. And, you know, Martin was a member of the clergy, of course, and had specific religious beliefs, but I think these are human and spiritual beliefs as well. So let me just start reading because it gives us something all to think about and even take solace in. Winter Journey, the absence, the cry of winter. It begins by saying, winter is a season of the heart as much as it is a season in the weather. John Crow Ransom connected the two kinds of winter. Two evils, monstrous either one apart, possessed me and were long and loath at going. A cry of absence, absence in the heart, and in the wood the furious winter blowing. I invite the reader to undertake a journey of the soul. It will occur in the face of the threat of absence. Some psalms will be a guide. Winter will serve as an image for the seasons of the heart. Winterless climates there may be, but winterless souls are hard to picture. A person can count on winter in January in temperate northern climates, or in July in their southern counterparts. Near the equator, winter is unfelt. As for the heart, however, where can one escape the chill? When death comes, when absence creates pain, then anyone can anticipate the season of cold. Winter can also blow into surprising regions of the heart when it is least expected. Such frigid assaults can overtake the spirit with the persistence of an ice age, the chronic cutting of an Arctic wind. Absence, absence, a poet hears the cry. Winterly frost comes in the void left when love dies, or love grows distant. Let a new love come into life, or let the enduring one come close again, and summer can return to the heart. So it is in human affairs. The absence can also come, however, to a waste space left when the divine is distant. The sacred is remote when God is silent. The wind of furious winter for a while blows without and then grows silent as spring comes. The fury and the bleakness within the soul can remain no matter what the season or the weather. Who tends the spirit where winters take over? The Christian faith and the family are prescribed to provide refuge and warmth, and for many they do. In our generations, however, to mention spirituality is to evoke images only of the long day suns of summer. Those who begin with a sense of the void, the absence, who live with dullness of the soul, feel left out when others speak only of such bright spirituality. Picture someone who is hungry for a warming of the spirit. He calls a friend who is advertised as spirit-filled. Praise the Lord, she responds as she picks up the telephone. The two meet in person. One is chilly but open to stirrings. The other, well characterized, as full of stir. The transfer of spirit can occur when the filled person is compulsive about the summer and sunshine in her heart. Never does a frown cloud her face. Lips once drawn tight in disapproval are now drawn tight in cosmetic smile. The Lord wills it. Never does the storm of a troubled heart receive its chance to be heard. Lord has satisfied every need one hears, so it would be a sin to stare once more at the void within. Christ is the answer, they say. The spirit is warm, and no chill is ever allowed between the boards or around the windows of the soul. After such an encounter, questions come to mind. Is the summer-style believer being honest? Will she not have to face that void herself someday? Is the cry of absence, absence, unvoiced and unheard? Or does she ignore it? Worst of all, does she have a motive to suppress it, to screen it out of her stopped ears? Does the spirit make its way only in a heart that has become a windowless hall of mirrors? Must a person to survive choose to create a mental sound chamber that screens out the signals of the world? Spirit. To some, the word suggests only the inner world. Nowhere in such a case can it connect with the images that one carries of the swollen bellies, of the starving, or of swollen streams. Can one forget the parched tongues of children or the flooding rivers of catastrophe? I am enjoying my spiritual high, the friend seems to be saying, and you can have one too, so long as you create illusion. You must vacate your heart's residence near the world of reality. Relocate yourself in a hermitage of the soul. Marty writes, the price for such a move seems too high. If this alone be of the spirit, one thinks it is better to live only with the mundane. In that sphere, at least, there is honesty. There, at least, one can tend to the persistent cry of the heart, the absence that will force itself to be heard and felt. Beyond that, the individual friend with her summery smile, there is also a community that is the family of the faithful. This is the congregation of believers, the church of the practicers. The cry of absence, absence in the heart, is supposed to be heard communally. People intend to overcome the absence by becoming a gathering of the spirit. And in that circle, certainly people can be honest about the furious winter blowing into the wood of the heart. So thinks the seeker. Just as a person can be engulfed and alone in a crowd, so can a congregational fellowship overlook or scorn members. In some tribes, it is said, and I never knew this before, the magical leader performs a rite in which an errant person is boned. The participants gather while the shaman ritually points a magic bone at the one whom the spirits are supposed to shun. Those who have observed such ceremonies report in many cases the bone person writhes, goes into a fit and a fury, and then, spent, is taken off to a hut. Weeks pass and the person dies. Did the bone itself do the killing? No, says science. As an object, it was made up of the same kinds of molecules as any other bone. The act of ritual waving is what led to death. Without their having been aware of it, the people of the tribe with their eyes first followed the motion of the bone, then they accused the victim, and instinctively thereupon withdrew their presence. It was the absence that did the killing. The boning rite occurs in tropical cultures under the heat of the noonday summer sun. Yet figuratively, the shaman and the circle of people together inflicted winter on the hapless one. In such a way, the summery circles of Christian believers can bone their victims. Some of the accused they regard as being errant, too sinful to belong in the company of sinners. Others they see as simply marginal. They've not been invited to the center of the community, or they've never been able to find it. The shaman, the magical leader, the company of leaders sees to it that the victim gets pushed beyond the margins, back into the wintry night. But it may be that those who pursue the spirit in unconventional ways or who receive the Spirit's gift in ways that depart from those that the group cherishes, receive no support. They are left to their own devices, and after frustration, they choose to be alone again. Honesty is their premium. Aloneness is their price. Absence can be their destiny. What is conventional for seekers of the Spirit? A person can display that fulfilled soul by jumping up and down. The songs of faith say the instructions have to shout the language and abundance of life. The ways of the Lord become no longer mysterious. People reduce them through easy explanations. They burst with shadowless joys into the heart. They say, enjoy these ways. Before long, in the face of such counsel, it dawns on the seeker of shelter. The kind of warmth that the company cherishes is not the sort that I need. Such climate does not shelter, it screens out those who aren't in the huddle. That's a great phrase, isn't it? There is more to the dawning. The summary kind of spirituality has less to do with the spirit than with personality types, social classes, income groups, patterns of etiquette. Not every believer can move easily into the rhythms of country and Western Christianity with its foot-stopping, exuberant styles. Must they be the same for everyone, the suspended, button-down believer? The executive woman in her tailor suit who celebrates at least wanly the liturgies of the church and yet rests in the quiet glows of candles on the altar. She's only half saved because she's never been slain in the spirit, never swooned during prostrations or moments of joy. They can all feel left out in the circle of the exuberant ones. They are left out. For them, the cry of absence is more haunting after the search than before. Sometimes in the worst cases, it turns quiet. The stillness of the spirit takes its place. He goes on to say, there is another zone, that of the movement, the spiritual enterprise. They're reinforced over the radio and television, many best-selling Christian books having to do with nurture of the spirit or of this exultant sort. He goes on to be very specific. Christ is said to be the answer no matter the question. I know, I've talked with him, says the evangelizer or the peddler. Send $10, turn the dial to our program, buy the book. Whatever the form of counsel, it always amounts to the same thing, and the abundant life of sunshine and joy will be yours. Marty says many serious people who seek are repelled by such appeals. They turn off the television station before its thousandth repetition turns their desires into Siberias of the heart. Not all who stand apart do so out of snobbishness. They sometimes for a while continue their walk in their wintry woods and cast occasional longing at the eyes on the cabins whose windows the glow of warmth and familiarity shines. They smell the smoke from the wood fire beneath the chimneys of spiritual lodges and envy those who find them congenial. They can create enough empathy for such soulful expression that they too can hear and maybe even sing Amazing Grace, where their ears and tongues had once been ready only for the Gregorian chant or Lutheran chorales. Let there be then, the responsive believer pleads, no war between spiritual styles, just peaceful coexistence. Rather than have one version force out the other, can they not complement each other? Each can appeal to a company of people making their pilgrim. Each style, for that matter, can bring some gifts to the people of other style. There will almost inevitably be moments in the life of the summer resorts when the wintry style will speak with clarity and bracing purpose. No logical, psychological, biblical, or traditional reasons exist to force the two to exclude each other. call for the two styles to find impetus for the wintry soul demands boldness. There must be a place to lean on, to hold on. The footnotes of those notable thinkers are heavy, their reputations carry weight, and their words give sureness to their step.
This is beautiful.
It is beautiful. The words of Marty, who left us last week.
S.R. O'Brien says that he found a copy of this book in one of the little free libraries.
Oh my God.
And he wanted to know, did you ever interview him?
A couple of times I did. Yeah, a couple of times. I didn't know him well. I always called him Professor Marty, and he said, Scott, please, Marty, meaning Martin Marty. But I was looking at you, Charlie. But yeah, we saw him every year at the Sandberg Awards, which we often are able to share with our fans of Open Book. And so, terrible loss. I wish we could have done more this weekend, but so much, as you may have known, so much news. So thanks for being with us tonight on our Open Book. Very good. We could read those warming and uplifting and challenging words from a great mind and a great heart and a great soul, Martin Marty. So thanks very much for being with us tonight on our Open Book. See you later. Take care.
Here, I've got it.
Okay. I will turn you off.